Brainwaves, sound, and light manipulation? Kevin Cass. Let's talk a little bit about this. So I mentioned in a former video about the EKG, about the difference between male and female and left and right brain hemispheres, and a few of the things that entails. But is it possible? Because I've also mentioned about how the brain doesn't know the difference between memory and real life, and how to use that to your advantage to relive preferred things. Is it possible to do that against someone's will? Or to manipulate someone else's mind and state of consciousness with their memories and understandings? Yes. Through several means. Everything is a wave after all. Now, so I told you, and you can look back through this playlist, how to get high off of your mind, how to release dopamine due to memory of the time where it was released. Well, what about all of the research that's been done on our brain activity and the frequencies therein and of the world and its particular frequencies? We even have the frequencies of each room in the pyramids of Giza. We have a lot of this documented out of pure interest or out of the means of science and completing this database, who's to say? Regardless, it means that we can really relate these sciences and understand the human brain down to a set of commands for the most part. 4 hertz being mentioned in the past as delta, for example, is deep sleep. But here's the fun thing. If you introduce those same rhythms back to the brain when they're not in those things, they get coerced over time toward it. We all have a symbiotic way of living in nature. Everything in nature is symbiotic. Everything either relies or connects to everything else. Certain plants grow better by other plants. Everything recycles through all the elements. It's very interesting how everything does connect, no matter what real way you look at it or set of words you use. But what this also means is that you can be controlled using the same techniques. They mainly do this already in a lot of movies and a lot of music. I can't remember the name of the band, but there was a band, a metal band, that was playing shows that were literally rupturing organs of people in the crowd and were banned from ever playing again because of it. And the reason why it happened was because they were putting very specific frequency waves through huge amplifiers into their music. So imagine these waves are amplified to extremely strong decibels with the rest of the music, which means a further and stronger distance for that wave to travel, rupturing these organs. There's been a lot of studies, you can look into Rife and his experiments, on how to treat different illnesses and change consciousness, cure drug addiction, all kinds of stuff using these technologies. So they use it in music, they use it in movies, they use gamma waves, which is the excitement wave, usually 100 plus hertz in your brain, to put in horror movies, to make you more anxious and possibly scared, make you more alert and heightened. Look at that word heightened, look at the word up, look at all the ascension, the terms we use. These are higher frequencies. The goal is to stay dominant in the heightened understanding frequency, not just to spike up and down out of panic or misunderstanding or randomly be manipulated or not have the control yourself. So hopefully a lot of this helps you out. But these frequency waves can manipulate your consciousness into different ways of being. Now here's how it pretty much works. Your brain's been through beta, alert, focused, active, and control. You've been, and moving. When you're moving, you go into beta. Your brain's been through alpha, calm, relaxed, free of stress, or on pot. Pot puts you in alpha. Or into a low beta, but we'll get into that if we need to. Theta, which is drifty, dreamy, lucid. It is when our brain's creating new passageways and tracing old passageways in the brain. It's responsible for memory, for visualization. And delta, deep, dreamless sleep, the recovery area. If you don't get enough sleep, if you don't remember your dreams, if you wake up feeling like a lead dead weight, it's because you're still in delta and your body hasn't had time to migrate out of it because you're not taking care of yourself. Start taking care of yourself. And then suggestibility also comes in other forms, not just the wave. Of course, so if we know that for the most part, and for most of us, We go from beta up and active down to alpha, relaxed, down to theta and drifty, down to deep sleep. Then we know that waking up, it's supposed to be the opposite, right? Go from delta, deep sleep, to theta, lucid. Coming out of it now to alpha, relaxed, feeling more comfortable, to beta, alert and awake and ready to go. This can happen pretty fast if you take care of your body, but for some people you'll notice it happens very slowly because your sync is out of whack. Let me think of the word. What's it called? I'll come back to that. Circadian rhythm. Ha! Don't have to. So your circadian rhythm from constantly giving it different commands and schedules, your brain and body doesn't know what to do with itself. So with that being out of whack, but here's a fun thing. Now I said you could command and program yourself into those states with different things. You hear "wake and bake, buddy," or you might. Well, that's the best time scientifically to do it, or anything else. When you first wake up, because you're supposed to be coming out of delta into theta, which is what? Dreamy, lucid, suggestible. Before you go to the other two states and you're ready for the day. So that means while you're suggestible, you can speed that along and give it a command, and it'd be more likely to take it. So if you have an energy drink by your bed, that one sip could last you a really long time. Because instead of your brain saying, "Oh, I gotta take my time to go into this," no, I want to go there now, because that's what you told me to do. Pretty fascinating stuff. So you can use that to your advantage and give yourself different commands. In fact, there's a spell that I read online, which I will discuss spell in another segment, but there's a spell that I read online that you could use for anything, and you really can, because it's a form of hypnotism for yourself. And what you do is you set an alarm clock to wake you up randomly through the night. You can do this multiple times. And you write on your bedpost or wherever the head wall or whatever you got, I don't know, your sleeping situation, in a simple sentence as if it's already true in present tense, your goal. I am confident. Say. Okay. And maybe you're not a confident person. Write it down as if you were. Your brain doesn't really understand the difference in certain times. So write this down on a piece of paper, put it on your headboard or wall, go to bed, wake yourself, interrupted during your sleep, before you have time to get out of theta suggestion. Immediately wake up, pull a flashlight out. I forgot to mention you should have a flashlight. Point it at your headboard and flick it on and off a couple times. That suggestion gets embedded in your brain. Becomes 1,000 times more likely to be true. And over so many sessions, it will be. You'll start to accept the fact that you are confident. Pretty fascinating. So, hopefully, that gives you a little insight on how a lot of this subliminal hypnosis and stuff works. It all comes down to states of mind and how they can be programmed and coerced. Second, how brainwaves work, for the most part, when you hear binaural tracks and all that. Binaural, bi, meaning two. Aural, audio. Okay. Left and right brain hemisphere, as I'd mentioned. Left and right speaker earbud. Waves at any volume applied directly to the brain. Another fun fact for you. The frequencies that a cell phone uses. Within 2 minutes, your brain-blood barrier's been reduced and you're much more open to suggestion. These things are not your friends. There's a reason why everything's being made convenient and pumped out the way it is. It has a lot to do with how we want things to go. So, I'm Kevin Chaos, and I'll see you next time.